So for this video, I'm going to yet again go over the books that we're going to be doing for the Stephen King Book Club. And if you're unaware, me and Ian from Ian the Reader are co-hosting a book club over on the Book Astronomer Discord, where essentially we're going to be reading and or rereading one Stephen King book a month. We kicked it off in October with Under the Dome, which was a lot of fun. And then for the rest of the year, we're going to be doing The Shining in November and Doctor Sleep in December. And we did have the books picked out for next year, but we did say that it was kind of a tentative schedule because we weren't sure what month the new Stephen King book was going to come out in. We did predict May, and as it turns out, it is coming out in May. So the new book coming out by Stephen King next year will be released in May. It will be in late May, but we're just going to keep it for May because we're predicting that most people, including me and Ian, are going to want to read it the first day, like the first week it comes out. So we're just going to keep it in May. And if you're also unaware, like I said, it's a new book. It's a Holly book. I believe it's called Never Flinch. I'm not really super pumped that it's another Holly book, but it's Stephen King, so I'm going to read it no matter what it is. Ian's going to read it, and you know what? You're going to read it too. So, yeah, I'm even going to make my cat read the book. But anyway, this is just going to be a quick reminder about the book club, and then I'm just going to quickly go over the books that we're going to read and the schedule. I did already make a video about this, so if you want to go check that one out, you can, or if you want to just watch this one, this will be a quicker summation of the book club schedule. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the schedule. So like I previously mentioned, we just read Under the Dome for October, and then for the rest of the year, we're going to be doing The Shining in November and Doctor Sleep in December. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then for next year, for 2025, the rest of the schedule is as follows. In January, kicking off 2025, we're going to be doing one of my personal favorites, his best collection, in my opinion, at least, Different Seasons. And this has always been one of my favorites since the first time I read it. I don't know, probably like 9 or 10 years ago. It's a novella collection, and it's a really good example of King writing non-horror. Some of these are some horror leaning, but like you've got Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, which is one of his best. You've also got The Body, which got turned into Stand By Me, if you've seen that movie. But you also have Apt Pupil and The Breathing Method, which are some of my personal favorites as well. Really just a solid, outstanding collection. So we're going to be doing that in January. And then after that, we're going to be going a little bit under the radar. We wanted to get some maybe underrated books and also just Stephen King books that maybe not a lot of people have actually read before. So February, we're going to be doing From a Buick 8, which admittedly, isn't necessarily one of Stephen King's best books, but it'll be fun to get everyone's reactions to it because not a lot of people have probably read this book yet, so it'll be fun to see whether people like it or not. I did like it. My main complaint was that it was a little bit repetitive, but I did enjoy it for what it was. Like I said, not one of my favorites, but it'll be interesting. It's got kind of that Stephen King thing that he likes to do with having spooky cars. You're like, obviously Christine, and then he's had a lot of car stories in his writing career, and this is definitely one of them. It is also kind of maybe pseudo Dark Tower related, maybe. So, I don't know, but it's pretty good. Hopefully y'all will join us for that. And then also in March, we're going to be doing Rose Matter, which again, not like a very popular book, but it is definitely one that I want to go back and reread because when I read this for the first time, I loved the first half of it. The second half, it had something that I wasn't really expecting, and it kind of diluted my enjoyment of the first half. But knowing that it's going to happen going into it, I think I will enjoy it a bit more. If you don't know, Rose Matter is about a woman named Rose who's married to an abusive cop husband, and she decides to run away from him. And kind of the story is her running away and starting a new life, and then him eventually finding out and trying to track her down. So really good start to the book. It does venture off into some weird King territory. That's all I'll say. But it was pretty good for what it was. And like I said, it's not really a King book that a ton of people have read. So definitely, if you haven't read this one before, come join us and we will chat about it. And for April, we wanted to keep this pick short because over on the Book Astronomer Discord, like I said, we're going to be doing Battle of the Bands readathon in April and July. So for both of those months, we wanted to pick really short Stephen King books because, as per usual for readathons, you want to try to read as many books as possible to help your team out. So for April, we're going to be doing The Running Man by Richard Bachman. So this is one of the Bachman books. This is, I wouldn't say one of my favorites, but it's really good. It's King writing a really solid plot, which doesn't happen a lot. Sometimes his books can kind of be meandering, but this one is very fast paced, very fast moving. It's basically a dystopian novel where this guy just is very desperate and he joins this game show where essentially you basically know you're going to die, but the object of the game is that you're trying to hide from basically the whole country, and people around the country are trying to find you and kill you. And the longer that you last, the more money you can make for your family. And kind of the catch is that if you survive for I think like 30 days, you win like $1 billion. So that's what he's trying to do. So you're basically following this guy who's super desperate and he's trying to win all this money in this dystopian setting. It's really fun, really good. It can kind of get a little dark because like it's dystopian, but it's a very interesting King novel. Not really anything like he's written before or since. So definitely check it out if you haven't already, or if you want to reread it with us, check it out. And then, like I mentioned at the start of the video, his newest book is going to be coming out in May, called Never Flinch. I think it's like May 20 something, 25th, 26th. I don't know. It's like right at the end of May. We're still going to do it in May. Normally, I would kind of like give people time to get the book, but for Stephen King, a lot of people just will get the book immediately and just read it on day one and just read it for the next few days or so. So that's basically what we're going to do, and we're going to anticipate y'all doing that as well. And yeah, usually when I get a King book, if I'm not working, I will try to binge that book in a day. But like I said, it is another Holly book, which, Holly came out last year, or not in the last year, but yeah, it did come out last year, right? I don't even remember at this point. She's written so many books, but yeah, it came out and I wasn't a big fan of it, mainly because of, I don't even want to get into it, but it had some stuff I didn't like about it. So hopefully that kind of stuff isn't really in the book, and hopefully he kind of just sticks to telling a compelling story. But we'll see. But that's May, Never Flinch. And then in June, very excited because we're going to be reading one of my all-time favorite Stephen King books. It's a King book that, for most people, not a lot of King fans have necessarily read this one, but for the King fans who have read it, a lot of the times they end up loving it, and a lot of the times it ends up being one of their all-time favorites, just like mine. And that would be Duma Key. This one is, like I said, it's underrated in a sense that not everyone has read it, but for the people who have read it, they know how awesome it is. I mean, not everyone loves it, but for the most part, I see King fans really enjoying this one. It's super unique. You've got King writing a story that takes place in Duma Key, Florida, which I think, by the way, that's a made-up place, but still. It takes place in Florida, which is very different. The main character is struggling through a lot of stuff, and then obviously it's Stephen King, so it goes into spooky directions, but it's really good. It's got one of my favorite friendships of all time, Eggert Freemantle and Wireman. Just one of the best friendships that you'll ever read, even in King, because King has a lot of good friendship stories, and, but Duma Key is just so good, and I can't wait to get back to it. And it's a perfect time to read it in June because it's, it takes place essentially in Florida on a beach house. So good time to read it. Summer vibes, and yeah, very excited, and hopefully y'all will read it with us and enjoy it as much as I did. And then in July, like I said, we're going to be doing another Battle of the Bands round, whatever number that is by that point. And we definitely wanted to choose another short book, so we're going with The Colorado Kid, which is definitely one of his shortest ones. It's clocked in at less than 200 pages, so you can most likely get through this in a day or two really, I was going to say it's really good, but some people might disagree with me. And yeah, they do. But I think this is one of his most underrated books, and I really want to get people's reactions to it. Some people have read it and have agreed with me that saying like, "Oh yeah, it's really good." But, some people, the main complaint is that it's, kind of a hard case crime book, but King, you know, I don't want to spoil it, but people have mixed reactions to the ending of the story. But for me, it works perfectly. I get what King was going for with it, and I really hope that you guys will give it a chance. And I can't remember if Ian has read it before, but it'll be fun to get his reaction if he hasn't already. By the way, Ian, by the way, for me, all of these books are rereads. All 12, well, besides the new one, obviously, but mainly for the Stephen King Book Club, it's going to be all rereads for me. For Ian, it's like mostly newer books to him. A couple of these are rereads, like he's already read The Shining, so. But a lot of these are new to him, so that's going to just be fun to get his reactions. But also, like with Under the Dome, it was so much fun, even though that's not one of my favorites. It's fun to get people's reactions to it. So, the main reason why I wanted to do the book club in the first place. So, hopefully, y'all will join us for the Colorado Kid and hopefully like it as much as I did. Possibly. And then for August, we're going to switch gears and go definitely more in the spooky route and disturbing route. We're going to be doing Full Dark No Stars, one of his best novella collections, in my opinion. And like the title suggests, these stories are very dark, very gruesome. So definitely be prepared for that. You've got stories like 1922, which in a really, I mean, I have a messed up sense of humor, but it's almost a black comedy. It's probably not what King was going for, but it's got some dark stuff in it, but also it's just kind of ridiculous. But then you've got stuff like Big Driver, which is just very dark, very disturbing. That one's hard to read sometimes. But yeah, and then you've got Fair Extension, which is also really good. And then it ends with A Good Marriage. That one, yeah, it's all disturbing. So if you like disturbing stuff and you like King just writing really gruesome horror stuff, this is the book to check out. And also, if you're a part of the Stephen King Book Club, you don't have to read all of these books. You can pick and choose. Obviously, me and Ian are going to be reading all of them with y'all. But if one of these books isn't for you, but some of them are, just pick and choose. So yeah, definitely if you're into the more gruesome, disturbing aspects of horror and King, check out Full Dark No Stars in August. And then keeping the spooky vibes going in September, we're going to be doing Christine, which obviously, if you guys know what Christine is, it's about an evil possessed car. If you've seen the movie is great, but the book goes into a lot more detail about why and how this car gets possessed in the first place, which is very interesting. And you also, because it's a book, you get a lot of inner character dialogue and stuff with the characters that just makes a lot more. The movie is great, but it makes more sense once you've read the book. The book is really great. I think weirdly underrated. Like, I don't see a lot of people like absolutely loving this book, but it's definitely one of my favorites, and hopefully y'all will enjoy it as much as I did. I think this is one of the books that Ian hasn't read yet. This might be a reread for him. I don't know. But anyway, definitely check this out in September. Christine. And then for October, we definitely wanted to get a very spooky, disturbing book for, Halloween. And this one, the ending is just so dark and nihilistic. Like, I had to pick this for October. And that's Revival. This book is really fun on a reread, and it's also it's going to be so much fun to get people's first reactions to the ending of the story, because this is one of his better endings. And like I said, it's just so dark and disturbing and nihilistic. Like, this book goes places, and I love it for that. So it's going to be a lot of fun to get people's reactions to it. So if you want to reread it just like me and kind of pick up on some foreshadowing that King does, or if you want to read it for the first time, and yeah, just check this out in October if you want to just read like a really good newer Stephen King book as well. And then for November, we're going to be doing Roadwork, which I know is often cited as King's worst book, but I disagree. I think it's one of his most underrated, if not his most underrated book by far. This book has a low rating and people don't like it simply just because it's unlike most Stephen King books. There's no supernatural element, there's no really horror element. It's basically just a character study about this dude named Barton Dawes, and it's really good. Not a lot happens, but it's still really good. Also, I'm not alone in this. I love this book. Also, Josephina from Feeny Reads, she loves this book. This is her favorite Stephen King book, which is kind of crazy, but it's one of my favorites too. And other people who have read this book that I recommended it to, like Pat Sava, he loved the book. So I'm very interested to see if we can get some more people that really love this book. There will probably be some people who don't like this book, but like I said, with all these books, it's just going to be very fun to get people's reactions to it. I also don't think Ian has read this book, so we'll see. But yeah, this book is a lot of fun. And yeah, that's what we're doing for November, road work. Then for December, we got winter time, so we wanted to go with more of a wintry book. We did not necessarily pick the most popular Stephen King book, but it's one that I think constant readers should all read. So if you're interested in checking out Dreamcatcher, that's our pick for December, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This book, admittedly, is not one of Stephen King's best, but what it does have going for it is great characters and a great premise and a great start, and it's a wild ride. That's all I'll say. It's something. But yeah, Dreamcatcher. Yeah, if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it for King fans, just because, a lot of King fans, I'm sure there's some King fans who are fine without reading all of his books, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but if you're at all interested in reading just a really bonkers Stephen King book with some great characters and wintertime feels for December, check out Dreamcatcher, because this book, it's something. All right, so that is the schedule for 2025 for the Stephen King Book Club, and I'll just recount all of these books, by the way. Just a reminder, The Shining is in November of 2024, and Dr. Sleep, December 2024. But for 2025, January, we're doing different seasons. February, From a Buick 8. March, Rose Matter. April, The Running Man. And May is going to be his new release for 2025, Never Flinch, which I believe is another Holly book. So, and that comes out in late May, by the way. So we're going to probably read that like the last week of May or so. So be prepared for that. And then transitioning into summertime, we have June, Doomakey. July, The Colorado Kid. August, Full Dark No Stars. And then kind of for spooky season, we have Full Dark No Stars. August counts as that. But also September, we have Christine. And then October, we have Revival. And then for fall and winter, we have Roadwork for November. And then for December, we have Dreamcatcher. So those are the 12 books that we're going to be doing next year for the Stephen King Book Club, over on the Bookish Drummer Discord, hosted by none other than me and Ian the Reader. And if you guys are at all interested in reading any of those books, like I said, you don't have to read all of these to be a part of the book club, but if you're at all interested in any of these books, go check out the Bookish Drummer Discord. The link will be down below. Great community. We love to talk about books, and yeah, and there's a lot of King fans in there, and very safe environment to mention any unpopular King opinions you have, because we have some people that love a lot of King books, and then we have some people who, like me, like I have a very, very unpopular King opinions, but it's a safe community to chat books with. So check it out. Link down below for the Stephen King Book Club, Bookish Drummer Discord. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of the picks for 2025. Let me know, like, if we continue with this book club, what books would you like to see in the future for us to cover, like in 2026? Oh boy. And let me know what you thought of this video down below. Thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. I've got my Patreon link down below. You can support me for as little as $1 a month there. I also have my Amazon wish list if you'd like to purchase me a book. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a fantastic day.